Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas! All right. That's it. It's the famous Santa impression. I bring it out once a year, and that's the whole bit. That's all I got. I'm not going to do the Santa voice anymore for you. You don't have to worry about that. I can't promise when I'm going to take the beard and the hat off. It's quite uncomfortable. Getting little beard pieces in my mouth and my nose. I'm going to try and make it halfway through the video. The over-under is halfway on this video. Bet amongst yourselves. I'm starting to lean towards the under. My name's David Jones. I'm with the FTN Network. I'm here talking to you on the Mayo Media Network about guess what? Guess what? Christmas Showdown special on DraftKings. We've got the Minnesota Vikings going down to the Bayou, going to play the New Orleans Saints, who have their quarterback back. They have two quarterbacks. They have three quarterbacks if you count Jameis Winston. But Drew Brees, he's playing again. He's not healthy, but he's going to be in there playing. He's dealing with cracked ribs still. I mean, I don't know how you go out there and play football. Good for him. Tough guy. So, who's going to win the game? Saints are favored by 7. Over-under in this game is 51. If you haven't done so already, please smash that like button. Please subscribe to the channel. Please go over to ftndaily.com and check out what the experts, like myself, some people call me an expert, but we've got better guys over there, are thinking about all sports. NBA's back. NFL winding down. We've still got a lot of games left, though, a lot of weeks. Baseball's coming up. There's all sorts of stuff. We even have an esports guy. Esports, the pandemic DFS sport. Okay, so let's talk about it. Who are we going to play in this showdown slate on DraftKings? We've got two very expensive running backs up top, Dalvin Cook and Alvin Kamara. Got to have one on your team, right? Most people will. I would think that wasn't a very popular move with the Pittsburgh Steelers defense 50% owned last slate, was it? That didn't work out. But Cook or Kamara, clearly the two best fantasy producers on the slate. I mean, Dalvin Cook and Kamara are essentially the same player. Both run the ball, both catch passes at a similar rate, both have good backups behind them, quite frankly, and both of them typically smash when they're in the right position. Dalvin Cook can't be stopped lately. It doesn't matter the defense they're going through. He played against the Bears last week, did good. Had Tampa Bay, a defense that was better against the run at the beginning of the season. The week before that, played very well. And we know Alvin Kamara has Drew Brees back, which raises his floor and raises his ceiling through the passing game. When Taysom Hill was in there being the quarterback, Kamara was not getting the balls thrown his way. And quite frankly, Taysom was just taking a lot of balls himself. Good player, Taysom Hill. People hated on Taysom way, way, way too much. So if we want to look at some stats, we've got the Vikings allowing 1.3 rushing touchdowns the past 3 games. They've gotten worse as the season's gone on. And the Saints have gotten worse against the run the past 3 games too, allowing 1 rushing touchdown per game on average over the last 3. If I have to choose one guy here, who's it going to be, Cook or Kamara? It's tough. It's hard to get away from Dalvin Cook right now, isn't it? Kamara's in the better matchup. He's got his boy back. But I get worried about what's going to happen down at the goal line with the New Orleans Saints. If Drew Brees is going to pass, if Taysom Hill is going to come in, if Lat Murray's going to get that goal line work. I think I'm going to lean Dalvin Cook. It just seems safer. And I think the Vikings, well, they could be playing from behind. It should be a close game, but that would mean more passing work for Dalvin Cook. And I think he just feels safer overall. I mean, he's been the better fantasy asset the last month, that's for sure. So let's go with Dalvin Cook at $900 more at the captain. That doesn't mean necessarily I think you have to have him in the captain. We're just going down the players list here. If you can find a way to fit Dalvin Cook at the captain, Godspeed. He is expensive, though. Same goes for Alvin Kamara. And quite frankly, both of these guys are projecting really similar, around 20 points for me. This is hedge life stuff, but if you're making one team and you're ripping your hair out, should I play Dalvin Cook? Should I play Alvin Kamara? Just do 2 teams and swap out Cook and Kamara. But if I have to choose one, gun to my head, I guess I'm going Cook. Underneath Kamara, Drew Brees, he's back from injury, even though he's still injured. His ribs are still cracked. I don't know how you play football with that. I have a cracked rib. Actually, this is not a lie. I have a cracked rib right now, and I do not know how he can go out there and play. Good for him. Tough guy. I mentioned it kind of with Alvin Kamara. I'm worried about Drew Brees' production. Of course, he doesn't have the zip on the ball like he used to. He's not as accurate down the field, isn't throwing it as far, which is to be expected. Still a great quarterback as far as the mind game goes, knows exactly what to do, who to throw it to. He's Drew Brees. He's great, right? But you worry about it when you get down close to the goal line. Is Taysom Hill coming in like he did last week, which we called it FTN? Sean Payton clearly wants to have Taysom Hill involved in some capacity. So he's either coming in and taking at least the red zone attempt away from Brees or Kamara or all of the above. It is a real thing that I worry about. Drew Brees, great matchup going up against the Minnesota Vikings secondary, but he's also missing Michael Thomas, right? He's going to have to choose if he's going to throw the Traquan Smith, Emmanuel Sanders, Jared Cook, and then you have a handful of other guys that we'll mention towards the bottom. Not real interested in any of them that he can throw it to. Not terribly interested in Brees. I don't think you 100% have to have him. Kirk Cousins, below him, $14,400 at the captain spot. You can throw on New Orleans, but it's not the easiest thing to do either, right? You've got Lattimore and you've got Jenkins back there. They're allowing 1.7 through the air the last 3 games, though 1.7 touchdowns, which is more than I would have expected. And that is the best way to target New Orleans. And you have 2 absolute studs in Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson. One of them's getting in the end zone. I think you have to have Jefferson or Thielen on every team you make. But Kirk Cousins is tied to those guys. And then Dalvin Cook is tied to Kirk Cousins too, right? So Dalvin Cook is game script proof. He's either going to be running it towards the end of the game in a close game, unless it's a complete blowout, which it won't be. And he catches passes, right? So Kirk Cousins, I think I'm going to lean to. I guess I'm leaning Vikings here, guys. I like Kirk Cousins a little bit better than Drew Brees. You get $1,000 savings on him if you play him at the captain spot. And like I said, I do not trust Brees anymore. And Kirk Cousins has shown us, it's not a resurgence. I mean, he's kind of an up and down player. But if you look at his average over the last 5 weeks, he's averaging above 20 DraftKings points. And Drew Brees has just not really done that much this season, even when he is healthy. I mean, he's eclipsed 20 points 4 or 5 times, and 2 of those are right on the cusp, never eclipsing 25 except once. So I like Kirk Cousins more. That's just the way it's going to be. If you like the Saints, then play Drew Brees. Go for it. Justin Jefferson is next up in the pricing, $13,800. Probably my vote for Rookie of the Year. I don't care. I mean, the quarterbacks most of them look great. You have Burrow going down a little too soon, unfortunately. Herbert looks good. Jalen Hurts is making a push. He's not going to win it. Tua is better than people give him credit for, and they will all see Tua is a good quarterback too. But Justin Jefferson, man, can't be stopped. He's been doing it all season. I like him here going up against New Orleans. I said I want him or Thielen on every team. People probably lean towards Jefferson here because his target share was phenomenal. He got, I think 11, maybe a little more targets last week. Thielen only got 3. So people might say, Justin Jefferson's going to get the lion's share here. Not true. Not true. Thielen's going to get just as many, if not more. That was probably just who was getting open last week. And Justin Jefferson, Thielen still, they're both go-to guys, but the go-to guy for Kirk Cousins when you need him. He's got the hands. I like Thielen a lot. But Justin Jefferson, great player. I am going to rank Adam Thielen above him. Adam Thielen's $12,900 at the captain spot, and I do like him at the captain. Just went over. I think you can throw in New Orleans, and I think people are going to own Jefferson more, and Thielen just a stud. I think he can rack up those catches, more catches than Jefferson, and you just hope he gets in the end zone. But why wouldn't he? He usually does. Him or Jefferson will. Give me Thielen, though, if I have to choose one, above Jefferson just for the catches. In between them, Emmanuel Sanders. He is priced up, isn't he? I mean, I guess that's what happens when Michael Thomas goes out and you start, playing well. Over the last 2 games, 4 receptions, 76 yards. Against Kansas City, against Philly, he got a touchdown with 48 yards. And he has the best matchup for the New Orleans wide receivers right now. So he's going to be going up against the guy in Chris Long that's allowing 85% of catches so far this season. So 85% of the time when he is targeted in the secondary, the receiver's coming up with it, and Emmanuel Sanders is going to be the guy that sees him the most this game. So I like Emmanuel Sanders, but at that price in between Jefferson and Thielen, man, that's a lot to ask. I would take Thielen, then Jefferson, then Sanders in that order. I don't think I want Emmanuel Sanders at captain. It seems like too much, even though he is in the best spot for for the New Orleans wide receivers. All right, who had the under? Because I can't wear that anymore. It's getting hot in here. I'm using my FTN hat now. Michael Thomas out. Traquan Smith, $9,600 at the captain spot. boomer bust kind of player. Not as great as a matchup as Emmanuel Sanders has. But if you just take a look at what Traquan Smith has been up to, he was very popular in DFS last week because of the price tag. Price tag came up because they knew Michael Thomas was going to be out. 2 targets, 1 catch, 25 yards, but big boomer bust guy, right? I mean, we've seen it with Traquan Smith. He goes dormant for most of the season, then shows up sometimes. He can win in his matchup going up against the Minnesota Vikings here, and he's not a terrible dart throw. Like I said, like Sanders better, but dart throw on one of the wide receivers is going to make sense going up against that Viking secondary, who I mentioned earlier, or if I didn't, are allowing 1.3 touchdowns through the air over the last 3 weeks, which is less than what the New Orleans Saints are allowing, surprisingly, because we were targeting those Minnesota Vikings a lot in the beginning of the season, weren't we? Underneath him, Taysom Hill, quarterback 2. Quarterback 1 next year, maybe, for the New Orleans Saints. I don't know. $9,000 if you want to play him. He's priced up more than I like. I mean, he was still involved last week. We saw what he did when Brees was out, right? He played phenomenally. He had 2 rushing attempts and a rushing touchdown last week, but it only equated to 6.3 fantasy points. I think he's going to need 2 touchdowns here. I don't think he's going to be the guy at midfield throwing for 50 yards. Like, that's not going to happen. I could see him giving them an attempt to throw a pass, when they're down inside the 10, something like that, because everyone thinks he's going to run it. It's going to be a tough ask to get over the $6,000 price tag for him. I like Taysom Hill a lot as a player. I think his price is a little too much. Unfortunately, I'll be fading him more than not. If he gets 2 touchdowns, he's going to win someone a lot of money. I don't know if I see that happening, though. Jared Cook, the tight end for Drew Brees. A little bit of an underwhelming game last week. I had him. Didn't work out. Michael Thomas was out. You'd think more gets funneled to him. Didn't really. He still got his average 5 targets, 2 receptions, dropped a big one, I'm pretty sure. Only 5 DraftKings points, but I don't care about that game. I care about this game. Going up against Minnesota, 11th against the tight end. After Sanders, he's my favorite pass catcher if you're not counting the running backs and Kamara. So Cook's good. His price is good, $8,400. You can take a shot on him at captain. I mean, that'd be one of my punt captains, I guess. And I think he has a much bigger game than he did last week. I mean, Jared Cook, if people want to get off him because of that last bad game, that's fine. But just before that against Philly, great game. They're bad against the tight end. Atlanta, great game, bad against the tight end, or mediocre games. He's averaging double-digit points, DraftKings points, on more games than not this season. And it's a good bounce back spot for him, in my opinion, especially with no Michael Thomas. Irv Smith, priced up, because you had Rudolph out last game, who hadn't missed a game in a long, long time. He practiced at a very limited fashion this Wednesday, but I don't know if he's going to play. I think he's looking more doubtful. If he were to play, then you can slide him in because he's extremely cheap, $3,600. If not, Irv Smith is still going to be the go-to guy here, even though he dropped a huge touchdown pass last week. Get him going again. Who did it? Someone else did it last week, and they got him one. Deontay Johnson dropped one. He got one the week after. So Irv Smith, he's still going to be the tight end one for me there. I'm not too worried about Tyler Conklin, who I think is more of a flash in the pan. He had a better game than Irv Smith last week. He came down with a touchdown at 0% ownership, I'm sure, on the main slate. Didn't matter. Didn't see him. He got 14 DraftKings points last week. It's still Irv Smith, though. Irv swerve with Smith, whatever they say. Irv Smith, I do like him there. I think he's got a pretty good shot to get in the end zone, only if Rudolph is out. So he's a good cheaper play, mid-tier play. Lat Murray right below him. I'd rather play Irv Smith than Lat Murray. I'm going to flip over to the flex pricing. Lat Murray, $4,800. Look, I mean, he's still a guy that's involved in the offense. Obviously, you want Kamara. You think you link Kamara more with Brees back. But at the same time, Lat Murray didn't get much going with Taysom Hill in at quarterback. He caught 3 passes, which was pretty good for Lat Murray. I think that was the most, or caught two passes on 3 targets last week. That was tied for the most targets he's had in the season, and one of those was a touchdown reception. I'm not going to chase that touchdown. It's much more likely that Lat Murray would run one in, but he's going to get, 4 or 5 attempts here unless the game gets out of hand. I'm going to fade old Lat for the most part. The Saints defense, not terribly interested. I like the Vikings offense here. Will Lutz, Dan Bailey, the kickers. They're in a dome in New Orleans, so that's good. So I do like Will Lutz and Dan Bailey somewhat. I like Lutz more though. 3,800. That's cheap. That's cheap enough to play one of those kickers in the dome who are going to be attached to every point scored, whether they can't get it in the end zone or they do get in the end zone. You guys know how extra points work, right? So Tyler Conklin, no. Vikings. I don't think I want them either. Then you get into these cheap wide receivers for New Orleans. You have Lil Jordan Humphrey, best name in the NFL. Last week, he kind of showed up, right? Not a lot of people played him either. He got 1 touchdown through the air, 29 yards, 2 receptions on 4 targets. Not sustainable. They have other guys that they can go to. The porn star named Tommy Lee Lewis, he doesn't do anything except have an awesome name. I don't think I want to go there. They also have, really, I mean, I don't even want to say the names. Juwan Johnson, he started last week. Let's see. What did he do? He's cheap again. 2,200, 4 targets, didn't catch a one of them. But before that, he got 100% of the balls thrown his way, which was 1 against Philadelphia, and then the only other game he played in was Chicago. You can't trust him. So Juwan Johnson, super cheap, but man, I'm worried about it. He didn't catch any of the balls, but 4 targets, doable. 5-10 lineups, I'll play him on 2. How about that? Not a main lineup guy for me. Let's keep moving on down. There's some other little cheap guys down here. Chad Beebe going to be playing the wide receiver 3 role for the Vikings, but doesn't get targeted a ton, right? It's like a 2 or 3 target a game guy. It's all Jefferson. It's all Thielen for them. I'd probably prefer Beebe over Johnson, though. I'd probably do that, but at the same time, not really interested in them. Look, the thing about this game is that all the production, we know where it's going to come from, right? So on DraftKings, you get 6 players. Try and jam in 6 of these mid to high price guys where you know the production is going to be the quarterbacks, the running backs, Emmanuel Sanders. You've got Thielen. You've got Jefferson. Both the tight ends, Irv Smith, Jared Cook. Try and jam a bunch of them in with like a kicker, and then maybe take 1 punt on these guys that we're touching down here, like a Beebe or a Johnson. I don't want Tommy Lee Lewis. New Orleans, the backup tight ends, you've got Trotman. No, you can't count on anything from him. Amir Abdullah, no thank you. Josh Hill, no. Yeah, it's getting pretty thin down here. C.J. Ham, he scored a touchdown a couple weeks ago, but he's questionable. I don't know if he's going to play. I don't want to take a lot of punts down here. We know where the production's going, and I think I'm going to stay to the big guys up top. My favorite captains, like these Minnesota wide receivers, give me Adam Thielen in the number 1 spot. Going against the grain a little bit. Everyone's going to want to target Minnesota through the air, but they might be looking at the stats at the beginning of the season. New Orleans been worse the past 3 weeks. Give me Adam Thielen, bounce back spot. Justin Jefferson, I'm going to go with after him. Alvin Kamara and Dalvin Cook, going to be very hard to fit them in. Said it earlier, I'll take Dalvin Cook over Kamara. That's super close, though. Don't come after me if that one doesn't work out. And that's where I want to go. That's about it. I mentioned you can punt with the tight ends. Cheap. You could take a flyer on Jared Cook at the captain. Don't hate that. That's going to help you get some of those studs up top. Irv Smith, bounce back spot, but I don't know if 1 touchdown and 35 yards is going to be enough for a captain, especially at his price. If he was down like $2,000, then I would play him more. But keep an eye on Kyle Rudolph. Keep an eye on Kyle Rudolph. See if he's going to play for the Vikings. I hope you have happy holidays. I hope you shoot me a follow on Twitter at Tenacious D Jones. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Go check out the FTN YouTube channel as well. We've got a lot of good stuff rolling out over there. Thank you for watching. Happy holidays. Good luck. And spend some time with your family on Christmas. Don't just stare at your phone unless you're in the bathroom like me. Bye.